Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Stacy. Now today's video is going to be a book haul, and basically these are all the books that I purchased in the months of June and July. Now I did go a little overboard with the number of books that I bought, but I seem to do that all the time. I have some kind of addiction, some kind of obsession with buying books. But anyways, here we are, and I'm just going to show you all the books that I was able to get. So most of these books either came from a Book Outlet, which is probably my favorite store for buying books, or they came from Chapters, which is my second favorite place for buying books. But I think I do have a couple in here that I actually purchased at Walmart. But anyways, let's get into what books I got, because that's what you're here for. So we'll start with all the books that I got from Book Outlet. Actually, before I get into showing you the books from Book Outlet, I want to just take this time to thank the people who have used my referral link for Book Outlet. If you're not aware, if you are new to Book Outlet, you haven't purchased from them before, I have a referral link that I always leave in the description box below. But anyways, if you're new to Book Outlet, you haven't purchased from there before, the referral link will get you $10 off your first purchase of $25 or more. And I also get a bonus. I get 200 points for referring you. And that actually works out to, I believe, $10. So if you're interested in using that, like I said, it's in the description box below. No pressure to use it at all. Just throwing that out there to any newbies to Book Outlet. But just prepare yourself, because you will get hooked. You will get addicted. I've been shopping there for 11 years, so I'm definitely addicted. Anyways, let's get on with the books. I'll just start with this little itty bitty box first. Okay, so the first book I had to show you is called The Matchmaker's List. And it just says here, Raina may have finally given in to family pressure and agreed to let her grandmother play matchmaker. But that doesn't mean she has to like it or that she has to play by the rules. Nana always took Raina's side when she tried to push past the traditional expectations of their tight-knit Indian immigrant community. But now she's ambushing Raina with a list of suitable bachelors. Is it too much to ask for a little space? Besides, what Nana doesn't know won't hurt her. As Raina's life spirals into a parade of nanny-approved bachelors and disastrous blind dates, she must find a way out of this modern-day arranged marriage trap without shattering her beloved grandmother's dreams. Definitely sounds cute, a fun little read. I look forward to it. Okay, and the next book I have is called The Fight Club. Now, the reason I purchased this one is because I was watching a video by Books and Lala, and she was talking about Fight Club. And she says if you're lucky enough to not know how this book ends, or the twists, or if you're just lucky enough not to know anything about it, she's like, you gotta pick it up and read it. It's supposed to be really good, I guess. So I'm gonna take her advice. I know nothing about it. I'm gonna read it not knowing anything about it. Have not seen the movie. So we'll just see if it's as good as she says it is. Yeah. The next book I decided to pick up is called Fragments of the Lost, and this is by Megan Miranda. Have not read any of her books yet, but I've heard so many positive things about this author, so I thought this is a perfect opportunity to pick up one of her books and see if I like it. Okay, so here on the back it says, Jessa knows she doesn't belong in her ex-boyfriend Caleb's room, but Caleb's mother asked her to pack up his things, even though she blames Jessa for his accident. How could she say no? As Jessa begins to box up the pieces of Caleb's life, memories flood back that make Jessa realize their past relationship may not have been exactly as she thought. Each fragment of his life reveals a new clue that propels Jessa to search for the truth about Caleb's accident. What really happened on the storm-swept bridge? And did she ever really know Caleb at all? Okay, so the next two books I have are by the same author. The first one here, I thought I was getting a hardcover, but I made a boo-boo and got a paperback. Not a big deal, but I wanted the hardcover. But anyways, It is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. And then I was also able to get The Near Witch, obviously by V.E. Schwab as well. I'm going to be honest, I know nothing about either one of these books. I picked it up because of the author. I picked it up because of all the hype around this author. So I'm hoping soon to read one of her books so I know whether I like her or not. Okay, so the last book I have in this box is called Match Me If You Can. Maya's best friend Robin is known for her matchmaking skills, which is great because homecoming is just around the corner. But Robin refuses to set Mia up with the guy of her dreams, which forces Mia to take matters into her own hands. She uses Robin's matchmaking service to ensure that the popular Vince falls for her. Vince asks her out, but Mia doesn't count on Logan, the persistent school newspaper photographer who seems to like her out of the blue. Now she has to choose between Vince, the guy that she knows is right for her, and Logan, who insists that she gives him a chance. And she needs to make sure Robin doesn't find out that Mia's been matchmaking behind her back. Mia has 2 weeks before homecoming. Can she fix the mess she made, or will she have to kiss her perfect match goodbye forever? I don't know. I think it definitely sounds cute, and hopefully I like it. So the second box I have here from Book Outlet is a pretty big one. I don't know if I can lift it. We'll find out. Okay. There she is. She's heavy. We'll put her down. Okay, so the first book from this box I have to show you comes with a story. I'll show you the book anyways. It's called Whose Boat Is This Boat? And yes, that's Donald Trump. When I first heard about this, it was put out by, what's his name? Okay, so it says here, this book was assembled by the staff of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, who is late night host who is comedian. Can you say he's a comedian? He's funny. I thought this book was going to be funny, right? I thought it was a book that was going to be all the stupid comments that Donald Trump made after the, what hurricane was it? Florence. So when I got this, and it's super thin, and I opened up the pages thinking, hey, this is going to be funny. No. It's a children's book. Yeah. So, to say I was disappointed would be an understatement. I went into this thinking it was going to be funny. I read it in like 30 seconds. Definitely disappointed by this, but yeah. Okay, so the next book I picked up is called The Love That Split the World, and this is by Emily Henry. I picked this one up because of the price, $1.99 Canadian. So I don't know if it's still on there for that price, but I mean, I can't go wrong with $1.99. I've seen so many people talk about this. Of course your girl doesn't know what it's about, because why would she? To be honest, what I do is when I watch people's videos and I find something I like, I add it to my wish list on either Chapters or Book Outlet, and when I see that it's on sale or it comes in stock at Book Outlet, I put it in my cart. And you know what? Sometimes it'll sit there for months, and when I finally decide to buy it, I can't remember what it's about. I just know that when somebody described it, it sounded really good to me. So to these people who can remember what every single book is about that you haven't read, kudos to you. I don't know how you do it, but okay. So it says here, Natalie's last summer in her small Kentucky hometown is off to a magical start, until she starts seeing the wrong things. At first, they're just momentarily glimpses. Her front door is red instead of its usual green. There's a preschool where the garden store should be. But then her whole town disappears for hours, fading away into rolling hills and grazing buffalo. And Nat knows something isn't right. Then there are visits from the kind and mysterious apparition she calls grandmother, who tells her you have 3 months to save him. The next night, under the stadium lights, of the high school football field. She meets a beautiful boy named Bo, and it's as if time just stops and nothing exists. Nothing except Natalie and Bo. Actually, that sounds pretty cool. Definitely sounds different. Can't wait to read it, actually. I might have to hurry up and get to this one. Okay, so the next book I picked up is called Hatchet, and this happens to be the 30th anniversary edition. The reason I heard about this book is, I guess a lot of YouTubers who live in the States, booktubers, YouTubers, whatever, that live in the States actually read this when they were in school. Myself being a Canadian, I never read this book, but anyways, it sounded pretty interesting. It's about this 13-year-old boy who's he's in a plane crash, and I believe he's the only one that survives. And the only thing he has with him is this hatchet, and he's got to learn to survive on his own with just obviously this hatchet. I thought it sounded really interesting, really intriguing. I am just so happy to have this book in my possession, and to be honest, I cannot wait to read it, hopefully really soon. Okay, and the next book I have here is called Exit, Pursued by a Bear. Okay, so it says here, Hermione Winters has been a flyer. She's been captain of her cheerleading team, the envied girlfriend, and the undisputed queen of her school. Now it's her last year, and those days and those labels are fading fast. In a few months, she'll be a different person. She thinks she's ready for whatever comes next. But then someone puts something in her drink at a party, and in an instant, she finds herself wearing new labels. One she's never imagined. Victim, survivor, that rapes girl. I just took off the cover, and I thought this was kind of cute, and it says up here, I love you, and at the very bottom here it says, I know. Just thought that was cute, a nice little extra touch. And I believe I got this one at a really good price too. I believe it was $1.39 Canadian. I actually took the time to go to their, what the heck is it called? I'm gonna look it up. Okay, yeah, so there's a link that says sale, and it takes you to their clearance titles, and I found quite a few books that I wanted that were like dirt cheap, like $1.39 cheap. Yeah, so if you get a chance, check out that sale section, because sometimes you'll find some pretty good finds like I did. I think there's actually a few more in here that I got from that clearance section, so yeah, check it out. Okay, so the next one I got here is called Story Thieves, and this is the first book in a series. Now, the reason I picked this one up is when I was at Book Outlet's box sale, I was able to pick up one of these books in the series, not realizing it was book 5. Luckily enough, I was able to find book 1 on the website, so I can actually start the series. Who knows, I might not even like it. I might never get to book 5. Okay, so the next book I have here I thought sounded really intriguing, really interesting. I just showed you the cover, it's okay. Yeah, it caught my attention right away. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. But anyways, it's called Notes from My Captivity. Okay, and I'll just read you the description here. It says, Adrienne cares about 3 things. Getting into a great college, becoming a journalist like her idol, and making her late father proud of her. So when Adrienne is offered the chance to write an article that could get her into her dream school and debunk her foolishly optimistic stepfather's claim, no belief that a legendary family of hermits is living in the Siberian wilderness. There's no question that she's going to fly across the world. But the Russian terrain is even less forgiving than Adrienne. And when disaster strikes, nothing, not the flirtatious guide or her stepdad's obsessively detailed preparations, can protect Adrienne from the sheer force of nature. Now she's being held captive by the family she convinced didn't exist, and her best hope for escape is to act like she cares about befriending them, even if it means wooing the youngest son. I honestly love reading books that are about being held captive or hostage, and this for me is just like right up my alley. I'm hoping it's as good as it sounds, so we'll see. Okay, so the next book I decided to get is Undead Girl Gang. And going through this box, I actually forgot I had this. And just recently I've been, like yesterday, I was making a list of all the books that I'd like to read in October that are like spooky or scary or, you know, just ties into the whole Halloween theme. And I think this would be perfect. I think I'm gonna add this to the list. Maybe I'll read it in October, that'd be perfect. It's cute because on the back here it says, "We're back, witches." Okay, so the next one here I have is called Hello Sunshine. And I saw, oh, I can't think of her name, from the Girly Girl Bookworm. She talked about this book. I believe she really enjoyed it. I'm sure if she hated it, I wouldn't have picked it up. But anyways, it sounded good when she described it. Okay, so it says here, Sunshine Mackenzie is living the dream. She's a culinary star with millions of fans, a line of #1 best-selling cookbooks, and a devoted husband happy to support her every endeavor. And then she gets hacked. When Sunshine's secrets are revealed, her fall from grace is catastrophic. Can she recover? Does she want to? What Sunshine finds in the ashes of her own destruction may very well save her life. I don't know. I think it sounds pretty interesting. It says here on the back, best book of summer 2017. I'm going to put it to the test and see if I agree. Okay, so the next book I have here, hopefully I can pronounce it right because she's a mouthful. This is Nosferatu. Am I saying that right? Please tell me if I'm wrong. Anyways, by Joe Hill. Again, this is a book I don't know a lot about, but I've heard so many great things. So many people say you have to read this book. I've heard a lot of people actually recommend reading or listening to it on audiobook, which I plan on doing. I'm going to follow along in the book, into the audiobook. I'm definitely going to save this one for the month of October. They now have a show out. I can't remember who put it out. Amazon? Amazon Prime? Well, I don't know who put it out. Anyways, anytime there is a book that's made into a TV show, a movie, I always have to read the book first, and then I always have to watch the TV show and the movie. So the only other thing I can tell you about this book is that it's horror. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Joe Hill, that's all he writes is horror. Definitely going to be a perfect read for October. I can't wait. October, just hurry up and get here so I can read this book. Yes. Okay, so the next book I have here is called Forgetting August. I believe this was another one that was in the clearance area, and I think it's pretty cheap. I'm guessing around $3. So it says, some days Everly still thinks she sees him in the food court at the mall or in a car speeding past as the light changes. It only lasts a second, but when it happens, she slips back to a time where she was ruled and nearly ruined by August Kincaid. And it doesn't matter that she's moved on, that she's about to marry another man. In those moments, the only thing she can do to regain control is to take a deep breath and remind herself that August can't hurt her because he's in a coma, except that he's not anymore. Yeah, that sounds pretty damn good. Cannot wait to read this one. Okay, so the next book I have to show you, I've been waiting so long to get it. There's been a few times I wanted to get it from Book Outlet, and every time I went to order it, it went out of stock. But anyways, it's called Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too. It just looks very cute. Actually, my husband picked this up and he looked at it and he asked me if it was a coloring book. No, it's not, but I'm just so happy to have this one. The cover is absolutely gorgeous. I love it. That's part of the reason I wanted it. And then I got 11 Things I Promised, and this is by Catherine Clark. Oh. It's another book I believe I only paid $1.39 for. I thought it sounded pretty good. 17-year-old Frances wouldn't describe herself as adventurous. I wouldn't either. I'm not adventurous. She certainly isn't the kind of person who would sleep under the stars or bleach her hair or have a truly epic kiss until now. For the next week, Frances will be away from home, competing in a bike race with friends from her high school. But while her teammates are determined to get first place, Frances has another goal. Before she crosses the finish line, she will have done every single thing on her fix-it list. 10 crazy, totally out-of-character ideas her best friend Stella came up with to make the ride unforgettable. 10 things that Frances has to do on her own because of the accident that left Stella broken and angry, and Frances struggling to find a way to reconnect with her friend. However, as each item on the list opens Frances up to a new adventure, new friends, and possibly even a new romance, it becomes increasingly difficult for her to keep the one promise that she knows she absolutely must obey. Her promise to not tell anyone the truth about what happened to Stella. When it comes to friendship, Frances must discover what distances she's willing to go and what risks she's willing to take for the person she cares about the most. Okay, so the next book I picked up is The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. And I've heard, again, a lot of great things about this book. And it says, it's meant to be a celebration, but it ends in tragedy. As fireworks explode overhead, Evelyn Hardcastle, the young and beautiful daughter of the house, is killed. But Evelyn will not die just once, until Aidan, one of the guests summoned to Blackheath for the party, can solve her murder. The day will repeat itself over and over again, every time ending with a fateful pistol shot. The only way to break this cycle is to identify her killer, but each time the day begins again. Aidan wakes in the body of a different guest. That is actually the first time I read the description of this book, and oh my gosh, that sounds like fucking amazing. Again, it's another book I'm like super stoked to read. Can't wait. And the next book I picked up is one, again, that I only paid $1.99 Canadian. It's a hardcover, and it's called Song of Blood and Stone. Okay, so the only thing I really know about this book is that it's fantasy. I saw it talked about on YouTube a lot. I just thought I'd pick it up, give it a try. $1.99, you can't go wrong. So yeah. Okay, so the next book I have to show you, again, is a hardcover that I only paid $1.99 for. I just think that's a really good deal. Anyways, it's called The Wolves of Winter, and it's just compared to The Hunger Games and Station 11. I'm a huge fan of The Hunger Games, so this seems kind of right up my alley. Hopefully I like it. I guarantee you I won't like it as much as The Hunger Games because I don't think anything can beat The Hunger Games, but okay. And the next one I have here is called An Unwanted Guest. It's a thriller. I love thrillers. And it says here, it's winter in Catskills. And Mitchell's Inn, nestled deep in the woods, is the perfect setting for a relaxing, maybe even romantic weekend getaway. It boasts spacious old rooms with huge wood-burning fireplaces, a well-stocked wine cellar, and opportunities for cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, or just curling up with a good murder mystery. So when the weather takes a turn for the worse and a blizzard cuts off the electricity and all contact with the outside world, the guests settle in and try to make the best of it. Soon though, one of the guests turns up dead. It looks like an accident. But when a second guest dies, everyone starts to panic. Within the snowed-in paradise, something or someone is picking off the guests one by one. And there's nothing they can do but hunker down and hope they can survive the storm. I picked this book up simply because of the author. They wrote The Couple Next Door, which I loved. So I'm hoping I'm gonna love this one just as much. Okay, and the next book I have is called Most of All You. Now, when this book first came out, I actually started reading it through, I think it was through my library. Anyways, it was an ebook and I was really hooked, but for some reason, I don't know, I just read the beginning. I don't know if I was reading other books at the time and I just wanted to see what this one was like. Needless to say, I never finished reading it, so I decided to pick it up when I saw it on Book Outlet. And it says here, A Broken Woman. Crystal learned long ago that love brings only pain. Feeling nothing at all is far better than being hurt again. She guards her wounded heart behind a hard exterior and carries with her a deep mistrust of men who in her experience have only used and taken. Then Gabriel walks into her life. Despite the terrible darkness of his past, there's an undeniable goodness in him. And even though she knows the cost, Crystal finds herself drawn to Gabriel. His quiet strength is wearing down her defenses, and his gentle patience is causing her to question everything she thought she knew. It says, Crystal and Gabriel never imagined that the world which had stolen everything from them would bring them a deep love like this. Except fate will only take them so far, and now the choice is theirs. Harden their hearts once again, or find the courage to shed their painful past. So the next book I had to show you is called Night of Cake and Puppets. And this is by Laini Taylor. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. And I only picked this one up because of the cover. I mean, this is pretty cool. But underneath, I think it's so cool. That, the spine, and then the back. Yeah, so I honestly have no idea what this book is about. I'm kind of hoping that I'm going to read it, but yeah, I bought it because of the cover. Go ahead, judge me. I don't care. You've all done it. I'm just the honest one who's admitting it. Okay, so the next book I have here is called Once and For All, and this is by Sarah Dessen. I've yet to read any of her books, but I'm hoping to soon. Anyways, it says here, is happily ever after even possible? Okay, the next one I have is called Intercepted. And the only thing I can really tell you about this book, I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but it has something to do with football, and it's a romance. I don't know. That's all I need to know. Everybody says it's good, so I thought I'd pick it up and give it a try. Okay, another book that I found in the clearance area is called Unbreak My Heart. I thought this sounded like really, really good. Anyways, it says, what do you do when your soulmate marries your best friend? If you're Kate Evans, you keep your friend Rachel, bond with her kids, and bury your feelings for her husband. The fact that Shane's in the military and away for long periods helps. But when tragedy strikes, everything changes. After Rachel, pregnant with her fourth child, dies in a car accident and the baby survives, Kate upends her entire life to share parenting duties. Then on the first anniversary of Rachel's death, Kate and Shane take comfort in each other in a night that they both soon regret. Shane's been angry for a year and now he feels guilty too, for sleeping with his wife's best friend and liking it. Kate's ability to read him like a book may have once sent Shane running, but their lives are forever intertwined and they are growing closer. Now with Shane deployed for 7 months, Kate is on her own and struggling with being a single parent. Shane is loving and supportive, but from thousands of miles away. But his homecoming brings a betrayal Kate never saw coming. So Kate's only choice is to fight for the future she deserves, with or without Shane. I don't know, I just thought this book sounded amazing. Yeah, I just want to stop everything I'm doing and just read this now. Right now. Bye. No, I'm just kidding. We'll finish the book haul here. Okay, and the next book I have here is called The Cage, and this is by Megan Shepherd. And the reason I picked this one up is because I believe it's the first in a series, or a trilogy. I think it's a trilogy. Anyways, I had picked up the first 2 books in this, no. I picked up book 2 and 3 when I was at the Book Outlet box sale. So obviously it only makes sense that I get book 1. And yeah, so here she is. I can finally start reading that trilogy. Okay, so the last book in this box I apologize. I feel like this video is taking forever. I feel like I'm like so not prepared. I hate just reading off the back. I apologize. I'm so sorry. Don't hate me. Okay, so the next book I got is The Good Luck Charm. So it says here, Lila isn't sure what's worse. The day Ethan left her to focus on his hockey career, or the day he came back 8 years later. He might think they can pick up just where they left off, but she's no longer that same girl and never wants to be again. Ethan wants his glory days back, and that includes having Lila by his side. With her, he was magic. They were magic. All he has to do is make her see that. Just when Lila might finally be ready to let Ethan in, though she finds out their reunion might have nothing to do with love and everything to do with improving his game. I don't know, it just sounds like a cute little romance, so I'm excited to read it. And actually, no, I do have one more book from Book Outlet. It just wasn't in the box. Okay, and that is Obsidio. I probably don't really need to explain anything about this, but I finally have it. I just need to get book number 2, and then I can finally read this series. Book Outlet, why don't you have book 2 yet? I don't know. I'm not paying $25. I'm sorry. Just hurry up and get it so I can read it. Okay, so now it's time to move on to the books that I got from Chapters and the 1 or 2 that I picked up from Walmart. I couldn't remember the name. Anyways, I have The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I'm not going to describe this book because I'm sure you're like myself and have seen it talked about 100 times. But I have read it already, and I'm going to say that this is probably one of my favorite books of 2019. I loved it. It was one of those, it's just laugh out loud funny. It was heartwarming. Like my heart was just so warm. It was just, the characters are absolutely so adorable, so lovable. I love the hate to love in this, and it was just, I loved it. If you get the opportunity, I highly recommend that you read this book. Yeah, I just have nothing but positive things to say about it. Okay, so the next book I have is called Prince Charming, and this is by Rachel Hawkins. I believe it was formerly called The Royals. I could be wrong. I just heard Chelsea Darlene Reeds talk about this. She just raved about this book and she talked so highly of it, so I decided to go out and pick it up. Okay, so it says here, Daisy Winters is an outspoken 16-year-old from Florida with mermaid red hair, a job cashiering at a bootleg Walmart, and a perfect older sister. But everything changes after her sister gets engaged to the Prince of Scotland. Now every detail of Daisy's private life is being scrutinized by the tabloids, and she's forced to join her sister at the secluded royal castle. The crown hires the poor but dashing young Miles to help Daisy tone down her big personality, while the prince's gorgeous younger brother is determined to drag her into his scandals, with a posh boy coaxing her to misbehave and a poor boy pushing her to act like a lady. Daisy may just have to rewrite the royal playbook to suit herself. I don't know, sounds great. Can't wait to read it. Okay, then the next book I have here is called The Arrangement, and this is by Robin Harding. So in this book we follow our main character Natalie, who she's a student and she's having a hard time paying her bills. So her friends come up with this great idea that she should get a sugar daddy, and she does, and this man is 30 years older than her. Now Natalie starts to fall for this guy, but he refuses to leave his wife, refuses to leave his family. Okay, and then it just says here, what starts as a mutual beneficial arrangement devolves into a nightmare of deception, obsession, and murder. I have plans to read this month. I haven't gotten to it yet, but it definitely sounds very intriguing. Okay, so the next book I have here is called Someone We Know, and this is by Sherry LaPena. And I have another one of her books, The Unwanted Guest, that I had just showed you today, that I read her other book, The Couple Next Door, and like I said, I really enjoyed that. So I actually had this on pre-order. So hopefully it's as good as her first one. Okay, so in this book we follow a teenager who he basically breaks into his neighbors' homes, and he goes on their computers and he digs up dirt on them, and he finds out all these secrets, and he quite possibly shares some of these secrets too. And then it just says here, who is he and what might he have uncovered? After 2 anonymous letters are received, whispers start to circulate and suspicion mounts. And when a woman down the street is found murdered, the tension reaches the breaking point. Who killed her? Who knows more than they're telling? And how far will all these very nice people go to protect their own secrets? Yes, just sounds absolutely perfect, right up my alley. Okay, and the next one I have here is called Fix Her Up, and I actually did find this one at Walmart. It was like 40% off. I was surprised because my Walmart does not carry, you know, any kind of, the only books they seem to carry are thrillers. So I was actually surprised to see a book outside of that genre. I've heard a lot of people talk about this. They say it has a cute little cover, but do not be deceived by this cover. This book can get pretty hot and heavy and pretty steamy, so I am like super excited to read it. Okay, so the next 3 I have here are all by the same author. So anyways, I have The Wedding Date, The Proposal, and then I had pre-ordered The Wedding Party. Okay, so the first one here, it says, agreeing to go to a wedding with a guy she gets stuck with in an elevator is something Alex wouldn't normally do. She's definitely not the spontaneous type, but there's something about Drew Nicholas that's too hard to resist. I've heard a lot of amazing things about this book. The other 2, not so much, but I still look forward to reading all 3 of them. Okay, so the next one I picked up is one of those things that BookTube made me do it. Anyways, it's called Red, White, and Royal Blue. I've heard so many positive things about this. The only thing I can really tell you about this is it's a romance between 2 guys, and the one happens to be the son of the president of the US, and the other guy is a prince, and he is Prince of Wales. Yeah, actually it says here on the top, what happens when America's first son falls in love with the Prince of Wales? I just hope it's as good as everybody says it is. Okay, so the next one I got from Chapters for a really good price. I think it only cost me $8. It's a hardback. I've heard, I feel like a broken record because I keep saying this, but I've heard a lot of great things about this book, which obviously is the reason I bought it, and I just showed you. Doesn't matter. But anyways, it's called The Marsh King's Daughter, and to be honest, I don't think I've heard a bad review on this at all. I'm just going to read you a quick little line here because I don't really want to know too much about it. In this mesmerizing psychological thriller, a woman must hunt down the dangerous man who shaped her past and now threatens to steal her future, her father. So the next one I have is called Don't You Forget About Me. And it says here, it began with 4 words, I love your laugh. But that was 12 years ago. It really began the day Georgina was fired from the worst restaurant and found the worst boyfriend in the world in bed with someone else. So when her new boss, Lucas McCarthy, turns out to be the boy who wrote those words to her all that time ago, it feels like the start of something. The only problem? He can't seem to remember Georgina at all. Definitely sounds really interesting. And the next book I have here, I had heard quite a few people on Facebook talking about this. But anyways, these people were like recommending this book and saying how good it was. And it's called Paranoid by Lisa Jackson. Okay, so it says here, there are people in Edgewater, Oregon who think that 20 years ago, Rachel got away with murder. Rachel still has no idea how a foolish teenage game turned deadly, or who replaced her soft pellet air gun with a real weapon. When a figure leaped out at her from the darkness, she fired without thinking. Too late, she recognized her half-brother Luke and saw the blood blooming around his chest. Despite counseling, Rachel's horrifying dreams about that night continue. Her anxiety contributed to her divorce from Detective Cade Ryder, though he blames himself too. But as Rachel's high school reunion nears, she feels her imagination playing tricks, convincing her that objects in her house have moved. There's a hint of unfamiliar cologne in the air, that someone is tailing her car, watching her home. She's right to be scared. And as connections surface between a new string of murders and Luke's death, Rachel realizes there's no escaping the past, and the truth may be darker than her worst fears. Yes, definitely sounds really good. Okay, so we're down to the last three, finally. This is going to be like the longest video ever. It's horrible. Anyways, the next book I got here, I picked up because supposedly there's a lot of controversy. It's a mouthful for me to say. But I guess there's a lot of controversy with this book, and as soon as you say that, it definitely gets my attention. It definitely gets me to want to pick the book up. So I wanted to find out what all this talk is about. Anyways, I picked up After, and this is by Anna Todd. And I'm going to see what all the controversy is about and see what all the uproar is and why people might not like this. It says here, Tessa is a good girl with a sweet, reliable boyfriend back home. She's got direction, ambition, and a mother who's intent on keeping her that way. But she's barely moved into her freshman dorm when she runs into Hardin. With his tousled brown hair, cocky British accent, tattoos, and lip ring, Hardin is cute and different from what she's used to. But he's also rude, to the point of cruelty even. For all his attitude, Tessa should hate Hardin. And she does, until she finds herself alone with him in his room. Something about his dark mood grabs her, and when they kiss, it ignites within her a passion she's never known before. He'll call her beautiful, then insist he isn't the one for her, and disappear without a word. Despite the reckless way he treats her, Tessa is compelled to dig deeper and find the real Hardin beneath all his lies. He pushes her away again and again, yet every time she pushes back, he only pulls her in deeper. Tessa already has the perfect boyfriend, so why is she trying so hard to overcome her own hurt pride and Hardin's prejudice about nice girls like her? Unless this could be love. Okay, after reading the back on that, I can kind of see where this controversy is going to come from, but I'm really curious to read it, and I'm really curious to see what my thoughts are on it, and on what side of the spectrum I fall on. And so the next one I'm going to show you is called The Last House Guest, and this is by Megan Miranda. And before we even talk about this book, I want to just talk about, I don't know if you can see like looks like the little water droplets on the window, but they're actually like, on the book they're actually raised, and it just feels really cool. I really like that touch. I don't know, just thought it was pretty neat. I'm gonna be honest, the only reason I picked this book up is because of the author, and I've heard so many amazing things about her, so perfect time to try it out and see. Okay, and then the last one I have here, again, is another book that I bought just because of the author, and just because they're so popular, I gotta see what all the fuss is about. Anyways, it's called The Spanish Promise, and this one is by Karen Swan. And I actually picked this up because I was going to read it this summer, and here it is September, and I haven't read it yet, so maybe next year, maybe I'll still read it this year. But it just says here that it's the perfect summer read, so I'm getting myself into romance, and I just look really forward to reading this one. Okay, so those are all the books that I have for today. I am going to apologize again for not really being too prepared for this video and having to read the descriptions off the back. I don't like doing that. Maybe for the next book haul I'll get my act together. But anyways, that's it. If you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments below. If there's any books that actually interest you that maybe you haven't heard of, or I don't know, just, again, let me know in the comments. Let's strike up a conversation. That's what we're all here for, to talk about books, so talk to me. Anyways, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more from me, please hit that subscribe button. Until next time, happy reading. Bye!